Hi guys! Today we're spicing up ordinary candy apples with these Drunken Jolly Rancher apples in metallic green. As you know, the Jolly Rancher trend is all over TikTok for candy grapes. The best part is that it's all done in the microwave without having to heat a homemade candy mixture on the stove. And don't forget, we're infusing them as well, making this a lucky treat for St. Patrick's Day. As a bonus, I'll show you how to color your alcohol to get even more creative. And I'm comparing the pros and cons to traditional candy apples for all the tips and tricks. So let's create something magical! Some helpful tips for selecting your Granny Smith apples are to look for a medium-large size to support the weight of the bottle and check that they're able to stand up straight. An essential step to ensure the Jolly Rancher coating is bubble-free and doesn't break down as fast is to remove the wax with this cleaning method. First, I give the apples a pre-wash by spraying on this veggie wash. It helps to remove some of the excess wax and dirt on the skin. After soaking in water, spray on a generous amount and lather it all up. This is similar to giving the apples a shampoo. Then rinse back in the water and dry thoroughly with a towel. Once the pre-wash is done, you need to boil the apples to effectively strip the waxy outer layer. To a pot of boiling water, add about 2 tablespoons of baking soda and 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. Make sure to stand back, the mixture will get fizzy. Now go ahead and quickly turn the apples around for 10 seconds. You don't want to cook the apples by leaving them in there for too long, so stick to 10 turns as your guide. Immediately after boiling, it's key to immerse the apples into an ice bath for 30 minutes. This completely stops the boiling process and allows the last bit of wax to come to the surface. At this point, you will notice that the skin no longer has shine to it and will become more dull as time passes. For same-day apples, I let them sit for at least 12 hours, or you can wait up to 48 hours if you aren't ready to dip. Just keep in mind that the sap will come through the pores and needs to be wiped off before dipping. I find there tends to be more sap in colder seasons or climates. And here is what the apple should look like before and after the prep. Finish by giving the stems a twist before inserting the bottles of Ciroc. It is completely optional to leave it clear or make it a super cool green color. Our bartender here is all about the green. For each 50 milliliter bottle, add in 3 green apple Jolly Ranchers. Give that a stir and let them infuse in there overnight for a vibrant, lucky color. And guys, if you're enjoying so far, thank you for stopping by my channel. Be sure to join the party and subscribe and click that bell to receive all notifications. To funnel your infused vodka back into the bottle, it comes in handy to use a Bismarck decorating tip if you have one. This is the Ateco 229. By pouring in a little bit at a time while leaving some space towards the neck of the bottle to prevent it from overflowing, the liquid comes up higher after removing the funnel. If you're wondering when is the right time to insert the bottles, do that right before heating the Jolly Rancher mixture, since the infusion shortens the shelf life of the apples. All I'm doing is twisting off the cap and centering over the stem area, then push down until you hear it pop in. For best results, carve the extra flesh out with a knife by cutting out the stem and shaving the extra flesh by the core. I prefer the knife instead of a melon baller. I find it scoops out too large of a hole, so the neck of the bottle won't hold a nice firm grip, if that makes sense. It's important to line up the bottle as straight as you can and take your time to screw it on tightly to form a strong anchor. If needed, feel free to carve more flesh that's in the way of the core so that it interlocks all the way down. Some of the juice is going to leak out, so I turn the apples upside down to let them drip until ready to dip. My favorite part is preparing the metallic green Jolly Rancher coating with the microwave method. Always melt them inside of a glass measuring cup with 4 cups capacity to prevent any overflowing, and a wide opening to leave enough room to dip the apple. I only melt about 3 cups of Jolly Ranchers for each batch. Definitely suggest buying them in bulk, which I will link in the description box down below. I microwave the Jolly Ranchers in 30-second intervals. It will take a little bit of time and patience, but it's definitely worth it. Check after each interval to prevent burning and see if there's any melting activity going on. It will take a few rounds to see anything budge depending on the power of your microwave. This was about after 3 intervals. Let's give that a mix. Here it's still too thick and gooey. We'll continue heating in 20-second intervals until it's a dipping consistency, mixing in between. The ideal temperature for dipping is around 270 degrees. I check with my infrared thermometer. The metallic green Airbrush Color from Chef Master is absolutely fabulous. Airbrush Color bumps it up to a shamrock level. Gradually mix in a few drops at a time until reaching your desired shade. When mixing in the color, it may be bubbling, but right before dipping, make sure the bubbles have calmed down for a flawless coat. Look how gorgeous that color is, and let's get ready to dip. Angle the measuring cup so the candy pulls up on the sides, and rotate the bottle as your handle all the way around until coated. I leave a little bit of skin peeking out to prevent the candy from getting on the bottle, but it's completely up to you if you want to cover the entire apple. Another tip is to let the excess candy drip off. Do as least shaking as possible to prevent the bottle from coming loose, and wipe the bottom 2 to 3 times on the side of the dipping container so there isn't a large foot on the bottom. Then hold for a few seconds on the mat before letting go. Last but not least, bows always dress up candy apples with a beautiful finishing touch. I'll show you how to make them. Here I have a green satin ribbon that is 7/8 inches wide, and you'll also need some twisty ties that match the color of the ribbon. To create the bow, cut a large piece of ribbon. Mine was 16 inches to trim off the excess. You can use a shorter piece if you wish. I'm leaving a 3 to 4 inch strand hanging off the side, pinching it in place with my thumb, and wrapping the longer strand around my 2 fingers. Bring it across the front and pull underneath. Then wrap from the top across on a diagonal, finding the loop located by the first finger, and finish by pulling through. Feel free to make adjustments on either side for a bigger or smaller bow, and trim the length of the tails on the bottom. I'm loving the bows so far. All that's missing are the twisty ties. I take 2 of them and twist to connect together and create a longer twisty tie. One is not long enough to wrap around the bottle. Once you have the longer twisty tie, slip it through the knot in the center of the ribbon, and it's time to twist your bow around the bottle for a little extra style for St. Patrick's Day. Our bartender, Larry the Leprechaun, gave me some inspiration from his bow tie. An absolute must-have for candy apples are the mini gold cake boards. They are my favorite little discs. I have them in the apple section of my Amazon store. Place those directly underneath your apples for that pot of gold vibe. Now let's compare the Jolly Rancher apples to traditional homemade candy apples. For preparation, the homemade is made on the stovetop, while the Jolly Ranchers are heated in the microwave. The leftovers can be saved and reheated. Just pour onto a silicone mat into a flat layer and peel it away once it sets. Then store in a Ziploc bag and break up the pieces before reheating. Unfortunately, the homemade candy doesn't reheat as well as the Jolly Ranchers do. As for shelf life, the candy apples are best stored in the fridge. However, the Jolly Rancher coating on its own is more stable and can be kept out of the fridge without breaking down. Keep in mind, if apples are infused though, they should be made as a same-day treat. A question many of you ask about is the texture. Homemade candy does have a crisp, thinner shell, while the Jolly Rancher texture is much thicker and harder to bite. Jolly Rancher grapes are much different with that crackle to them and should be stored in the freezer. Also consider that it takes a lot of Jolly Ranchers for dipping apples. 3 cups per batch only yields about 4 medium-large apples, so it's more of a trendy novelty and something for fun. It's cheaper to make homemade candy on the stove, making it more practical to sell for your small business. If you want to step up your candy apple game, I highly suggest watching my candy apple basics tutorial to learn all the techniques for making your candy apples last for 1 week. I hope you guys enjoyed making these Drunken Jolly Rancher apples with me and you learned something new. Give this video a thumbs up if you did, and it gives you some St. Patrick's Day inspiration. It's Christina here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.